Hello my friends! Well, it has been a long time since I have covered any videos in the Ned's Abduction series. So this is the third installment of that series. If you're new to the channel or new to the series, basically Ned, which is not his real name, but I'm calling him Ned, he is an alien abductee, and actually I have several subscribers who are having abduction experiences, which doesn't really surprise me because, well, I cover a lot of this stuff. In part one, I covered the first email that he sent me, and that video is entitled A Frightening First Abduction. Part two was the second email he sent me, and that was entitled, what was it? Strange Intruders. Wow. I'm getting forgetful. So in this video, if you're new to the channel and if you haven't watched those videos yet, you might want to at least watch Strange Intruders first, because we'll be talking, Ned references quite a few things that are in that video. So you can find the links to both of those in the description, and yeah, I'll probably put at least part two up on the end screen as well. The third, fourth, and the fifth email he sent me were all fairly short, so I will be covering all three of those emails in this video. Here we go. Before I get to the main abduction, I'd like to mention a few abduction-related things that may interest you. There's not a whole lot to tell, but it goes to show how much I, and probably many others, simply don't remember. All I can tell you is what I remember, which is probably less than 1% of what actually happened. Most of my abductions took place either at night or early in the evening. There are a couple of times when it happened in the middle of the day or early morning. In one I've previously mentioned, I recall walking down the stairs and going into the living room one evening. I saw a small gray just standing there like a scolded schoolboy. That was where my memory of the event came to an abrupt end. There was another incident that was nearly identical, except for the fact that it took place during the middle of the day. I walked in the living room and saw what was possibly the same gray standing in the exact same spot. This time, it wasn't as quick, but I was. I grabbed it by the throat, and in a single moment, 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. I remember thinking, how surreal. I've possibly got some creature from another world by the throat, and what the hell do I do now? I also remember thinking how cold and leathery its neck felt. It was a split second, as I say, because then its spindly little arms were spinning around like windmills, desperately trying to free itself from my grasp. Without actually making any audible noise, I could hear it screaming in my head, "Get off me! Get off me now!" Looking back, it's nice to make them bastards pay for a change. I can't quite remember if another turned up. I say this because I don't think it was that one that made me pass out. I vaguely remember something rushing up behind me, but once again, that's all I remember. What happened after that, I have no idea. If I was taken anywhere and for how long, I've no idea. All the best, Ned. I'll get right to it this time. Same old, went to bed, average day, average night. The next thing I know, I was somewhere else. I didn't have a clue where I was or what was going on. Even now as I try, I can't put into words how I felt this time, other than being in a confused, delirious state. A few moments passed and I came around a bit more. I realized my wife was with me this time. We were both naked and huddled together. Though she was awake and utterly terrified, she again has no recollection of the event. This is where things begin to get weird. Huddled together like terrified animals trapped in the corner of a cage, we were submerged in a tank filled with some sort of clear liquid. The strange thing about it though was that we could breathe this liquid. Okay, this is Drew talking. I wanted to real quick interject an interesting tidbit of information. If you're thinking Ned's claims about being able to breathe this liquid is utterly bat poo crazy, then prepare to have your mind blown. This is actually a real thing.
A mouse can survive unharmed for hours, completely submerged. The mouse is breathing a special highly oxygenated liquid chemical compound. As mammals, mice and men have evolved to extract life-sustaining oxygen from the air. But our cells, and the mouse's, will take oxygen any way that they can get it. After its total immersion in the liquid environment, the mouse returns unharmed to the air-breathing world.
You may recall this scene from James Cameron's 1989 science fiction masterpiece, The Abyss. Ed Harris's character, Bud Brigman, has to descend to the depths of the Mariana Trench, and without going into the science of it, scuba tanks and rebreathers are out of the question. Basically, his only feasible option is to breathe a highly oxygenated synthetic liquid in order to carry out his mission at such great depths. Due to the very temporary but extreme discomfort one must experience while the lungs transition from breathing gas to liquid, the actor was not actually breathing liquid while this scene was being shot, which is kind of a no-duh. But get this, you remember the scene where the rat was restrained while submerged in the liquid? According to IMDb, that was actually real. I'll put the link to that in the description. So, the rat was actually breathing real, breathable, oxygenated fluid in this scene. After it was taken out of the fluid, it transitioned right back to breathing air, and it was totally fine. I wanted to bring this up for a couple reasons. Ned has really put himself out there by not only sharing his experiences with me, but also by being gracious and courageous enough to allow me to share his experiences with the whole world right here on my channel. As it's basically impossible for me to prove the authenticity of his story to the world, the very least I can do is to verify the scientific plausibility of as many aspects of his story as I possibly can. That was really the biggest reason I'm taking this little break. The other thing is that this is just a really interesting bit of science trivia as well as film trivia. So anyway, back to Ned's words. There was nothing around us, and it was a very large tank. I'm guessing several feet deep with clear sides all around. As we looked up, we could see several grays on a walkway to the right, just staring down and observing us. If I had to guess, I'd say they were about 4 to 5 feet above us. I think there was about 3 of them, the tall ones, and 1 or 2 short ones. I must say at this point, because I don't think I've previously mentioned this, but the tall ones are the intelligent ones. They are the bosses. The little ones just do the donkey work, fetching and carrying, etc. All the experimenting and questioning is done by the tall ones. I remember my wife shouting to me, terrified. Even though we were in this fluid, it didn't seem to affect our speech. She cried, "Ned, what are we going to do?" She also said something else, but I can't remember now. I calmed her down, telling her it's okay and they weren't going to hurt us. She asked if I was sure, and I told her I was. Truthfully, I didn't have a clue, and there was probably nothing I could do anyway. They saw that we had come around. They continued to observe us a little longer, and that was it. However they do it, I don't know, but we were out cold until the next morning. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, when they were observing us, behind them, nearly out of sight, I could have sworn I saw a man, possibly two, suited and booted with something in their hands, also observing us. Make of that what you will. I still don't know exactly what to make of it. We'll get to my next abduction shortly. Maybe connected, maybe not, who knows. Once again, feel free to tell me to stop anytime. It's a lot to believe and take in. I understand totally if you don't believe me. I won't take it personally. All the best, Ned. We now skip nearly 20 years. My wife and I moved to a bungalow in a small village just outside of Carlisle about 4 years ago. All thoughts of alien abduction had faded some 20 years ago, but 2 years ago, it all started up again. Why? Who the heck knows? I already told you about the one involving the blonde woman, the Pamela Anderson look-alike, so I won't go over that one again, but I'll put a few together as there aren't much to them. I don't sleep much at night, never have. It has nothing to do with aliens or abduction or anything like that, I just don't sleep much. I get a few hours of sleep when I first go to bed, then I just snooze at best, or lay there bored or daydream. To some this may be a problem, but it doesn't bother me at all. It's just the way it is, and I think I'm just a person who doesn't need that much sleep. It was another average night just like that, and I was lying there dozing in and out. To my sudden shock, I feel the covers on my bed being pulled back. My eyes shoot open like saucers. I wasn't sure if I had just imagined it or dreamt it or what. Whatever the case, I knew it wasn't my wife, as she was on the other side of the bed as me. I chalked it up to my imagination and started to relax again, but no more than a few moments later, it happened again. This time I knew it wasn't my imagination. My heart was pounding like a steam train. I decided just to lay there. The next thing I know, the covers are completely off me and I'm floating out of my bed, up and out through my window. There were quite a few times this had happened, and that's all I remember. What happened to me after that, where they took me, and what they did to me, I have no idea. The next thing I know, it's morning and I'm back in bed. I can't remember exactly how many times this has happened, but it's been 3 at the very least. There are a couple others I'll tell you about next, but I must warn you, these next ones were somewhat violent. All the best, Ned. Hey everyone, Drew here from Mad Cat Mysteries, and I hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. If you did, you can click on the subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.